Hello everyone, I'm sorry if I haven't made a video in a while. I do apologize for that. There's been nothing interesting out for me in my own taste. However, I will have a review of the movie In the Heart of the Ocean this weekend, which will be coming out eventually this weekend, of course. But until then, I'm going to talk about a movie that I wanted to review for a while now, which is the 2005 remake of King Kong. Now, before I talk about that movie, let's talk about the original. The original King Kong that came out in 1933 is one of the most important, influential, and innovative films of all time. It broke new boundaries of how do we make films, and very much of a big, larger productionized with all practical effects and all great, creative, innovative type of ways of making a film, and very much just reshaping what people knew what they could do on film. It made it bigger, made it realize, okay, this is really an art form now. We can really make a lot more passion in making Bela Lugosi a big actor at the time, really. But aside from that, it very much broke new grounds and changed the way we made films as a whole, and blockbuster films as a whole, ever since then. And it was very much the first innovative film before Citizen Kane, essentially. And ever since then, there's been sequels, there's been remakes, which were never as good as them. And something that I would dare say they were crap, including that Jeff Bridges one. That was Jeff Bridges one was pretty bad, to be honest. But aside from that, I'm sorry, getting distracted. My cat is trying to kill a mouse. I know it's dark, but whatever. God. But like ever since then, no one could really retouch the original. No one could replace that magic, even though they've attempted it many times. And at the time, one of the certain indie director from New Zealand was trying to do some Hollywood producers were trying to do it as well, but they needed other films, and that Peter Jackson at the time gained some good success off of Dead Alive and The Frighteners. He said, hey, I want to take this shot at one of my favorite films of all time, which is the original King Kong, and he wanted to make it. However, he couldn't do it. Therefore, he kind of guided his lines back into Lord of the Rings. So thankfully, because of the original King Kong, we would have never have gotten Lord of the Rings trilogy, which is some of the most influential and innovative films of all time, just as well. Which I'm very, very happy about that as well. And then Peter Jackson, he said, all right, I'll make Lord of the Rings, and then try to focus back on King Kong, because he wanted to make King Kong in the late 90s. However, Godzilla, Mighty Joe Young, and some other films at the time, and The Mummy were being made at the time. So he's just like, okay, I want to do that. I'll try to focus on something that's a bit more creative, or a bit more something out there. So he did Lord of the Rings, and then he came back to do this movie by the end of making Return of the King, and my God, this is probably my favorite remake of all time. You know, that's some really huge things to say, but this really is. I love this movie. I really do enjoy the movie, and I respect it a lot. I know, so there's so much background, because we're already 3.5 minutes into this, but here's where my real opinions are, thoughts on it. This is my favorite remake of all time. There's some great remakes, of course. Dawn of the Dead, The Thing, Scarface, The Departed. There's so many great movie remakes out there. But this is my favorite because A, the original, while I do really like it and respect it, it kind of seems a bit vague, and it leaves so many more important, the more fascinating things unsolved, like why are they there in the first place, all that type of stuff. So not only do they give more answers and all that to this movie, but they gave it a lot more depth. For better or for worse, they gave it more depth, more relation to it, more understanding of what's going on, what happened before, during all of it, and it gave a lot more behind reasons why Jack Driscoll and the actors and the director played by Jack Black, Adrian Brody, and all these other actors in this movie to Skull Island, and why they're doing this in the first place. Now, straight off the door, this is probably not, like, again, this is again my favorite remake of all time, but it's among my top 10 annual top 10 of all time. There's something about this film, in my opinion, because I have a poster of it. I have a guide to the movie, a book guide to the movie upstairs in my room, and I have both the theatrical version and the extended edition. So yeah, I'm a pretty big freaking fan of this movie, and I just love this movie. Really, I do. I think it answers on things, in my opinion, that are worth exploring, like the actor's past, why they're doing this, like why Condon is going to the island, why he needs Jack Driscoll writing for him, why he's on a run, why he needs Andero, why they're doing this in the first place. So you can see more of it, and the reasons are just, in my opinion, they're much more rich, they're much more vivid, they're much more memorable. I love the production design, the way it's shot. It's just a great film. The use of production, the mix of CGI and practical effects in this movie, in my opinion, are really impressive. They're really great. The CG is mostly good. I would say 85% of the time in this movie, the effects are good. They're really good. 85% of the movie is really good. The production design, the way the style works, the cinematography, the clothing, it looks real. It looks authentic. It really looks like of the 30s, and you really do get it. And you feel this griminess, and you feel this low level of New York at the time, and why they really want to make a big feeling of it, so they can have more of the Broadway, Wall Street feel to New York that eventually does get in the future. I love it. It seems so rich. It seems so vivid. It feels so, I don't know why, but it's just so memorable, and I love that. The cast is just also excellent. Like, I think I said before in my Goosebumps review, but I'm a really big fan of Jack Black, and this may be my favorite performance he's ever given, because A, he plays a more of a young, wild type of a young, more ambitious Orson Welles type of character, who's not really the most subtle guy, but he's a very likable and the type of person you can really get on his good side on. So he's not the person you hate, or he's not manipulative, but he just has this honesty and likability to him, and I really loved. Naomi Watts as Andero, she's excellent. She's just superb in this movie. She adds a lot of strength and nobility, mostly nobility, but a lot of fun and graceful nature to her. And while she is very fun and sweet and polite, she's not totally effeminate. She stands up to a 30-foot gorilla. The scene in the movie, she's like, no, that's enough. No more playing around. That gave me goosebumps, and I love that scene. It's so great. Also, I saw this movie in the theaters when I was 11 years old. I remember going to the theater at like 6 in the afternoon and coming out like at 9:30. I'm like, that was one hell of a movie. And that was 11, and that was 10 years ago when I was 11, and it just blew my mind on so many levels. I love this movie for that. This gave me such a memorable experience while seeing it. It's just a fun, vivid, kick-butt feeling to a movie. And I'll continue on with what I said before. The cast is great. You also have goddamn, what's his name? What's his name from Billy Elliot's? Jeremy Bell. Yes, that's it. Sorry. Oh, okay. Yeah, Jimmy. All the other cast, especially Andy Serkis as this more of a cutthroat chef. He's also really funny, and he gets some good one-liners. And the cast, the side characters in this movie are just, like I said before, fun. They're so fun. They're so rich. They're so memorable, and I really do love watching them. And there's a great bunch. And he, to me, is like, I'm that weird type of director person. And also that guy had like the 5 o'clock shave to him. I don't know why. Thomas Kanesh, he's a German actor. He's really great. I loved him in this movie. And I just love this movie. This movie's just so fun to me. It really is. And also the way the natives look on Skull Island were genuinely terrifying. Like, you really watch the original, you look at those, of course, the natives in the original King Kong, and you're just like, okay, this is clearly of the time, it's silliest son. And this one, they're fucking creepy. They're absolutely terrifying. These look like and act like real names. You don't know how to act accordingly, but they will act very hostilic and violent and killing if necessary. And the way they just, the way the natives look are so creepy. They're so damn creepy. And let me just adjust the camera here. There we go. So I got more to the side. And the way that, again, I just love the way it looks as a whole. The way it's told is very much linear. It tells you scene like this. So it feels every scene is rich. Every scene is important, but it doesn't feel heavy, handy down or anything like that. It doesn't feel dull or dragging. It's like as much as you want it to be longer or short, it keeps everything important, intimate, and is overall necessary for the plot and story, and knows how to be slow moments and fast paced and action filled at the most important moments as a whole. And I just love watching the movie for that. Kong, motion captured again by Andy Serkis, phenomenal. It's just excellent. I loved him in this movie. He gave such a real, authentic giveaway through performance as, well, King freaking Kong. Essentially, he's great. And the way Daryl, played by Naomi Watts, right there, the way they had the contrast, like she wasn't the typical damsel in distress. She actually stood up to the creature, like I said before. She stood up to the creature. She said no to it. It's like you see the innate frailty and also the strength within it too. It's like it's the same thing with like Beauty and the Beast. It's like one cannot be controlled, but one of them cannot be controlled, but the other one has too much control, and they learn from each other in a way. And I just love seeing that relationship grow. She isn't always screaming. She always has to be calm, timid, and very controlling, but also scared at the right moments. It's like, in my opinion, it's just a general great performance, and I loved it in the movie. I loved her before because of that. And Mulholland Drive. She's also excellent in Mulholland Drive. But like the first half of this movie, I think is great. The pacing, in my opinion, is really, really good. Like the first 20 minutes gives you the right amount of information without it being too heavy-handed or anything like that, as I said before. But I love how it just gives you such important, vivid introductory scenes where every character, it gives each character the weight and their emphasis to the story. While it may give away who will live and who will die, we still feel for these characters for everything they go through, even when they lose friends, when they lose cast members on their way through Skull Island, rescuing Daryl from the Beast. I just loved it. It was just a great, to me, I just loved it as a whole. And to me, this is a pinnacle of both an action film and an adventure film. It's like if Tarzan meets Indiana Jones. That's a great mix. Tarzan meets Indiana Jones. It's just a great, vivid mix, and I really can see those two bouncing together and creating King Kong. Just for me as a whole, I just love this movie. Some people do have problems with the length, and while I do really love I love it. I love this movie because it just gives so much not information. Weird to say. It's not information, but it is very much reasons, backstories, all that for why they do this. And for me, that is a clarity. It's not like a mystery or a thriller or a horror movie where less is more. But this is an action film. The same thing with a fantasy is that if I get answers for something, cool, alright, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take that as a positive, to be honest. Because I like learning about things that maybe we don't know if they were better left unsolved or not. It's like, I don't know for sure, they give us more reasons for this. That's something that Peter Jackson often does in film. He just gives a lot away. No, not really gives a lot away, but he essentially really loves to give you reasons. He loves to give you background. He loves to give you big, great, important, pivotal details. And I think that's really, really good And to me, he's always a great storyteller because of that. And yeah, let's get into the negatives. So many people say to me, "Oh my God, the boat scene is way too long." And while I do understand why they would say that, I still can't help but really love it because I just like these characters so much. You get to see their journey more. You get to see them give a better performance. As a whole movie goes through it, you really do, like I said before, you really do feel for these characters, and they are best. You really do feel for them by the end, and at the end of it all, you really do feel the both success and also the failure that they go through to do this, and sacrificing. And they don't know, they can get blind by their own ambitions, and that may drive their friends or the people they have close far away, and you can feel the journey with the characters. But then again, I just feel like, if you don't like it because this movie because it's so long, then alright, fine. I will not give this movie a perfect score because of that. However, I still can't help but really love the length of this movie, and I just love the main reasons and the characters and the depth and so many reasons why they will do this. Because again, it's the depth that's needed. It's the richness of the story. People say, "Oh no, it's just you just want Kong versus humans." I'm like, no, we need reasons. We need reasons for this. We don't want to see them. We don't want these people to have this fate. But it unfortunately does happen so, and it's a very realistic feeling. It's a very realistic outcome, and in my opinion, it really strikes a chord to me. And it's just a very fun, rich, vivid, memorable world or island in this scenario, the island of Kong, essentially. And I just love this movie for that. And as a whole, I just love this movie because of that. The first half is just build up. The second half, on the extended edition DVD, on here it's like the first disc. First disc of this is the first half. Second disc is the second half. First disc, build up. Second half, action. It's kind of like Kill Bill in that sense. First half of it is build up. Second half is action. I love that to me. And the film to me is just nothing short of memorable. And the other problem I'm going to say is some of the effects are not great. Like, while I will find myself really breathtaken by this movie, the Brontosaurus and the Brontosaurus chasing, while fun and has a lot of great pacing to it, it's not terrible, but it's fairly noticeably CG, and you can tell it's CG at those moments. But the moments with the T-Rexes and Kong itself and the island as a whole, those CG moments were seamless, and those were brilliant. And the action scenes with Kong and those three B-Rexes were excellent. They were truly excellent. And for me, it was just great action scenes. I don't know how they pulled that off, but goddamn props to the CG animators for this movie for doing that. And the action is just awesome. But again, the Brontosaurus chasing is a bit obvious. And probably one of my favorite things about this movie, as something I haven't brought up, is the score. Done by James Newton Howard. I just love this score. It feels both glamorous and cinematic, but also very dreary and of the time, which doesn't really date it. It just gives it a clear identity. And in my opinion, it does it so damn well. The action is... And for me, this movie is almost a complete package. There's a great story, good characters, good motivations, good backstory, great rich natural world that gives it a good memorable feeling. It feels in the way it was done. It seems both... I don't know how to say it. And if you think this is weird or self-contradictory, then I think so. But for me, it's both of the time, but also seamless. Because when I watch this movie of King Kong, I'm like I can. There's a part of me. I'm like this. Like I can tell it's coming in the mid 2000s, but it's like something about it still sticks above anything else at the time. You can feel it's definitely of the era, but it really has the endless themes and the feeling that you will always get while watching it. It's like I'm taken back to that time in my life while watching this, but it's never dated because of that. It feels good, fluid, and natural, and it feels of the era, which I know some of you would be like, "That well, that's the definition of it being dated." I know, but it's a weird type of balance with the movie. It's both dated but endless to me. There's something about I don't know how to explain it. I really don't know. But as a whole, King Kong is to me almost a perfect package. It has great story, good plot, fun, rich, and cool characters, fun, memorable environment, great effects, good story, great formidable foe of King Kong, good dialogue, and it also another thing I love about this film is that it knows how to say what's good about the original, but also what's bad. It's like some of the of course this movie is about making the movie on Skull Island, but to use the old silly hokey dialogue from the original King Kong in those scenes is like, gosh, I've never been on a boat before. I've never been on a boat with a woman before. It's like that's a line that's directly taken from the original and put into this movie, but it doesn't feel copied. It feels like they're both making fun of it, but they're also making saying like, hey, this is funny, but it's also kind of dated of the original. It's the dialogue. It knows where to point out the strengths of and the weaknesses of the original movie itself. I know, I'm sorry if this movie review of King Kong is way too long. I'm sorry. But as a whole, it's one of my favorite films of all time. As a rich, to me, like I said before, it has the great elements. It has good elements of a great film. Good story, good plot, good characters, good CG, good beat. Just overall, it's in my opinion, a fundamentally great film, and a great, fun, cool, memorable film. Not just of the decade, but one of my favorites of all time. And I fucking love this film for that. And as a whole, I'm gonna give Kong a 95%. That's my rating for Kong, everyone. I really do hope you enjoy it. And stick around for this weekend when I will review In the Heartless Sea. That's coming out this weekend. And stick around till then, everyone. Thank you very, very much for sticking around and watching this review of mine. And yeah, you can click subscribe down below and like all that great stuff as always. Till then, everyone, I'll see you in the future. Bye. Ooh. Bye.